Right, good evening guys, welcome to the Friday Waffle. The first Friday Waffle actually getting recorded on a Friday for I think 3 weeks. Yeah, I've just had, had a really busy time with it. Just with real life, I've been out, had a 60th birthday party. Lots of different things going on, so yeah, actually quite glad to have this weekend off. As I always say, I'm delighted it's the weekend. It's been an absolutely frantic week at work. It's just mental. You're so busy, and I don't mind being busy. I mean, it makes for a quick week, but there are times where you've got 10 things. You're trying to do 10 things at once, and yeah, it can be a bit, So anyway, glad it's the weekend. So I hope you've all had a better. Well, I mean, I've had an alright week, to be fair. The weather is horrible. I was out walking the dogs earlier. Yeah, winter is here. Black ice. It's wet. It's cold. So yeah. Anyway, what have I been doing myself this week, gaming wise? I was actually playing. I was playing the PC Engine last night. I was playing a bit of Gradius. And what else was I playing? I was playing something else which I can completely forgotten what it was. But yeah, I've just noticed a comment by Alan Brown. He's saying, "Is this going to be a Black Friday special? You get extra 50% free." Absolutely, 50% free. Yeah. So let's see. I've got my list now. Before I start, thank you very much to the amazing number of questions this week. Last week was a bit light on questions, and it made for quite a short waffle. So thanks very much. I don't know how many I've got here. I've got probably about 10 sets of questions, so that is absolutely epic. Right, I want to just start off, not so much as an apology, but more just to explain myself. I was kind of moaning a wee bit, or it certainly came across as moaning about swearing on the channel. Now, if you watch my channel, which presumably you're doing if you're watching this video, you'll know that I can sometimes be a wee bit colourful with my language. Like most people, I do consciously try to not swear, unless I'm getting angry, and the odd sort of bad word will slip out. But I like to think that, I'd like to think that this channel can be viewed by anybody. I know predominantly, the biggest percentage of people, probably about 99% of people are older. I'd be very surprised if there's any young kids. I know Ian Hunter's grandson watches this, which is great. So I always want to try and keep it sort of family friendly. Now, like I said, there was a comment made last week, and I know it was said tongue in cheek. There wasn't any malice meant by it, and none was taken, by the way. But it's just really, I want to apologise, because I think a few people maybe thought that I was getting upset by it. I wasn't getting upset, but it was just really, I mean, we've all looked at YouTube, we've all seen social media where, you can get comments and it can start to get a wee bit unruly with some nasty stuff. And I know that's never likely to happen in this channel, because you're all a really good bunch of guys. But I would prefer, where possible, to keep it clean, keep it family friendly, because it just makes for more fun for everybody. I don't want it to ever get into some sort of slaying match, whatever. And I know it wasn't. I know that wasn't the case at all. So it's just really an apology to say I wasn't upset, and I hope I wasn't coming across as an arse, although I think I probably was. So anyway, right, the only one thing I've got to talk about, apart from all the other questions, is Black Friday, yes or no. Now, I think Black Friday is a thing that started in, was it in the States? I think it was. Excuse me, have you second? That's my daughter's favourite YouTube channel. Bonus points if you can tell what YouTube channel that is. Yeah, what was I talking about? Black Friday. It's a thing that I believe originated in America, and like most American things, it seems to be saturating the very sort of the UK. It's like when I was a kid, you went out guising, you dressed up at Halloween. It was called guising, and you used to carve turnips Now it's called trick-or-treating and it's pumpkins. So American culture is starting to integrate itself more and more into UK culture. And Black Friday is another one of these things. I mean, it's only a matter of time before we have our own Thanksgiving Day, I would imagine. But yeah, Black Friday, if you don't know what it is, which I'm sure you do, it's basically where shops for, I mean, I think it's supposed to be only like one day, but a few of them are doing it for more than that. You get these amazing bargains. They knock like 50% off stuff, and we've all seen the news reports with people going into shops and fighting over TVs and whatnot, and it's just a bit cringeworthy actually. But do you do Black Friday? I mean, it's the old cliche, you know, a bargain is only a bargain if you were actually wanting to buy it to begin with. I mean, tonight one of my mates posted a cracking deal on the PlayStation Pro, and it was like £150 off, and I actually went and had a look at it, and for that split second I'm thinking, oh, could I could, you know, I mean, I've got a PlayStation 4 up there, and I must admit I do use the PlayStation 4 quite a bit, and I may eventually upgrade to a PlayStation Pro. I don't have a fancy TV. Maybe I should have bought myself one in the Black Friday sale, I don't know. But yeah, just for that split second I was tempted. But the thing about these sales, these kind of, you know, one-off sales, people see these amazing deals, and don't get me wrong, some of the deals that they do have are incredible. You're getting 70% off or whatever. But, you know, I'm quite sure that, you know, a lot of people go out and buy stuff and they weren't looking for a new TV, they weren't wanting another PlayStation, and before they know it, they've gone ahead, they've bought this 72-inch widescreen TV. I don't know why I'm saying widescreen, you don't get normal non-widescreen, but yeah, big massive TV, and they got it for like 500 quid instead of £900. Yeah, that's a good saving. But the problem is, you've then spent money that you weren't intending to spend. If you were on the lookout for a TV, then it probably makes actually good sense to wait until Black Friday and get yourself a good bargain. But people that go and buy stuff just because it's a good deal, we've all done it. I've done it. Bought stuff because I'm getting it for a great price. I mean, my mate, he used to be on this bargain forum, and I mean, some of the stuff that he used to come up with was ridiculous. And he would send me emails during the day and say, "Oh, here's such and such a thing, this HD, blah blah blah, whatever it was. You know, it's only 40 quid. It's normally 200 quid." And I'm like, "Yeah, can you buy me one?" And I'd end up getting all this stuff that I had absolutely no use for. I mean, the amount of things that I bought, which basically got stuck in a cupboard, it's just nonsense, absolute nonsense. I personally have never bought anything on Black Friday. You know, you know, just when we're talking about it just now, it might be something that I would consider next year if I was going to be buying something. Just hang off until Black Friday and get yourself a good deal. I mean, what was I going to say there? One of the games that I got with my PSVR, is it Gran Turismo Sport? They were knocking that out for 17 quid. You know, I mean, people have just bought that. I think it's about 50 quid to buy. I know I would be extremely pissed off. Sorry, I've just sworn there. I would be extremely upset if I had just gone and paid full price for it, and then a couple of days later you're getting it for like £17. But yeah, have you ever bought anything on Black Friday? Have you bought something and then instantly regretted it? I've had buyer's remorse. I used to suffer big style from buyer's remorse. Not quite so much now, but on occasions I do buy something and then I think to myself, you know, why did I buy it? But then on the flip side, I then think to myself, I work hard, I work damn hard. It's my money, it's nobody else's money, you know, it's not going on a credit card, whatever. You know, life is too short. I mean, I was sorry to hear about, is it Novotná, the tennis player, 49 years old, died of cancer. It's so sad, and you know, I've now tipped over into 50, and you know, I look upon, I mean, I was moaning to one of my friends about getting old, and what he said to me was, it's better. And in fact, it wasn't. Who was it? It was one of you guys. I can't remember who it was. I can't remember who it was. Apologies. I was moaning about getting old, and somebody said it's better than alternative. You know, and he's absolutely on the money. It's true. But Aye, where was I going with this? As I'm getting older, I forget what I was talking about. But yeah, Black Friday, is it something you do? Have you ever bought anything on Black Friday and regretted it? I've never bought anything on it, but like I said, I think it's, if you're looking to buy something, then it's maybe worthwhile hanging off, because you do get some great prices, but if a bargain is not a bargain, no matter how cheap it is, if you weren't wanting it to begin with, because you're spending money on something that you possibly didn't actually want. So yeah, right, first up, let's see who have we got in no particular order. Lurch 666444. You're 13 years old, Alan, in 2017. Until now, you have just had a 3DS. Your parents say they will get you a big console for Christmas 2017. What console would it be, and what games would you ask them for? I'm 13 years old. Presumably, I don't have anything else other than a 3DS. I think it would probably have to be the PlayStation 4. I think it would be. I mean, I've got an Xbox One. Very rarely use it. It's never up there actually. The PlayStation 4 is a wonderful machine. The funny thing was, I was a massive PlayStation fan. Then the next generation, I was an Xbox fan. Then on the third generation, I was a 360 fan. And now I've gone back to Sony. So I was Sony for the PlayStation 1, Microsoft again. Yeah, because the Xbox, then the Xbox 360, and then this generation, I'm definitely PS4. Games wise, what would it be? It's hard to tell. I don't know, probably like Grand Theft Auto 5, something like that. But yeah, either that or a Vectrex, or else I get my mum and dad to go on eBay and buy me a Commodore Amiga 1200. That would definitely be the one. So anyway, thanks very much for your question, mate. Scott Retrohawk, did you get anything gaming related in the Black Friday sales? No, I didn't, Scott. I deliberately don't look, because I've not got any money. There's nothing I want to buy, so I've deliberately avoided. I mean, I wouldn't say I was close to buying a PS4 Pro, but I did actually look. My mate posted a link, and I actually went to the site to have a look at it, and I thought, nah, come out, and I quickly came out. Also, do you think as the stuff we are using is getting older, do you think it may be time to get things serviced and reconditioned to prevent any fire hazards? It's just after seeing someone on my Facebook, they had their retro gear burst into flames. Luckily no one was harmed. Bloody hell. You know what, Scott, it's a very real threat, that, unfortunately. But what I do, I mean, I'm sure when I switch something on in this games room, the national grid, actually you can see all the lights dimming in the UK, because I mean, I've got so many, I don't know how many plugs I've got plugged into the wall. I did actually there was a thing for a while when I switched that plug on, or switched it off I should say, it used to kill the power of the house. So I've unplugged quite a few, but I always make a point of, when I play a console, when I've finished, I unplug it. Because yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, these consoles, computers, they were never made to last 30-40 years. Absolutely not. Things like that generally have quite a short shelf life. Try saying that when you're drunk. So that's why I always make a point of switching them. One thing, just kind of flipping that question on its side for a second. A lot of these machines do fail, and I'm fully expecting them to eventually fall over, because, like I say, they weren't designed to be working after 30 odd years. If you're clever, you can, is it the capacitors I think it is, if you're clever you can recap the motherboards in these things, and that apparently gives it a kind of new lease of life. But I don't have any skill, so basically when mine falls over, it's going to get sold for parts on eBay. But yeah, it's just interested, Scott, what you're saying, what was it that actually went on fire? That's actually quite frightening to hear that. But like I said, I would never leave anything switched on when I wasn't in the house or in my bed, whatever. But let me know what it was, Scott. I say that is quite scary to hear that, and it just, fire's one of these things that we all think it'll never happen to us, but it does happen, unfortunately, as we all know very, all too well. But Yeah, anyway, Scott, thanks for the question, mate. Next up, Uber regular Mr. Doug Scullery. You're putting together a time capsule to represent video gaming in 2017. It's to be buried and then dug up and opened in 2050, which would make me 83 years old. Which 5 items would you put in? Video gaming, to represent video gaming. What 5 items? That's a great question. Video games. I think I would put, if it was going to trying to cover a cross section of the gaming industry, I think I would put a Nintendo Switch in there, because you know that encapsulates, that's a good word for a Friday, that encapsulates the best of portable and sort of lying on the couch gaming. So I put a Nintendo Switch in. I would have to put, and it's not something that I particularly like, but I would have to put in an iPad with Flappy Bird, because yeah, I mean that kind of summarises where we are with the gaming industry. Apps have really dragged down the sort of the perceivable value, is that the right word to use, phrase, of what games are. You know, at one point we would quite happily pay 30 quid for a game. Now people moan when an app's £1.99 or 99 pence even. They complain about it. So yeah, I'd put an iPad with Flappy Bird in it. I would put the Nintendo Switch. Oh, other gaming things, what would it be? If it's got to be, I can think of other things, but video gaming wise, I would probably put, in an Amiga 1200, because that is the best computer ever made, and it would let people see in 2050 that even in 2017 we were still using it, and there's still some great games. So yeah, a Commodore Amiga 1200 would need to go in there. I think I would also put in a GPDXD, because that would let people see that even back in 2017 we had the ability and the technology to play all these other games. And lastly, I think we would have to put, what, I don't know if you can see that, probably not, the PSVR. Well, that would, you're obviously going to need, you would need the PlayStation 4 as well. So PlayStation 4 oblique PSVR, because that would, it would basically mean that people could look back and laugh at how crude VR was in 2017. So yeah, great question, Doug. Next one, Kev, down the rabbit hole. Are modern games expensive to make? I know that sounds silly, but everyone is giving EA crap about Battlefront 2, and some journalists are defending EA, saying games are too expensive to make now for just $60, whereas some journalists are saying that's an excuse and EA are bleeding their customers dry. So what do you think is true? I think there's different sides to that, Kev. I mean, you just have to look at a game. Look at a game that, you know, look at, say, Street Fighter 2 on the SNES. Now back in 1992, 1993, that would have cost you about 40 quid. And we were happy to pay that. £40 back then was an awful lot more than what 40 quid is now. I reckon probably 40 quid in today's terms is probably over £100. It's more than double, I would say. And look at what we were getting for a game. Now you could argue, well, that was the only technology that was available. But I don't care what anybody says. To make Street Fighter 2 on the SNES would have been a lot easier than making like Battlefront 2 on the PS4. I mean, these games nowadays, they've got movie license or movie budgets. You know, I don't know what the biggest budget for a video game is, but it must run into millions. I mean, you know, you've got teams of people. Back in the day, these games, I mean, when I was talking to Sean Southern, I didn't realise it was only him and Andrew Morris did Lotus. So even big blockbusters back in the 16-bit days, like the Commodore Amiga, you know, your Lotus games, it was 2 people making it, that was it. And we were quite happily paying 30, 40 quid. Nowadays, you're getting games which, you know, there's no two ways about it. They're incredible, absolutely incredible. Do I enjoy playing them? not so much, but that's irrelevant. That's just my personal opinion. Games now must take, I don't know how many hours, like man hours it takes to make one of these games. You know, compared to Lotus or Street Fighter 2, whatever it was, or go back even further still, look at some of the 8-bit games. You know, they're programmed by one person and they're put together in 2 weeks. Nowadays these games they're just massive. So you could look upon it from that and say, to get a game like Battlefront 2 for like 50 quid, it's pretty good. It's quite a good deal. And 50 quid now is not 30, 40 quid back in the early 90s. So you can look upon it from that point of view and say, yeah, I don't know why we complain, you know, you're getting an awful lot more for your money. And yeah, there's no two ways about it. Saying that, would I pay 60 quid for a video game? No. I mean, I was on the Black Friday thing, what do you call it? The Sony PlayStation Store thing. They were doing a Black Friday. Everything, I think virtually every game, well not quite, but most of the games had like 50% off. And there was one game, it was like a kind of Middle Earth, kind of Lord of the Rings type game, and it was £80. And I was having a look at it and I'm like, you know, £80. I could not bring myself to pay £80 for a video game. Absolutely not. But yeah, so are EA just charging that kind of money? Again, it goes back to what I was talking about apps. People now perceive the value of a game as being either free or, you know, 99 pence. So people look upon a game at 40, 50 quid as being ridiculously expensive. But when you look at what you're getting, it's pretty good value. You know, when you think about how many hours you're actually getting out of these games, you're getting quite a good deal. I mean, a lot of the 8-bit games that I had, they were £10 and you played them for a couple of hours and thought, that's garbage. So, you know, look at the replay value you're getting out of modern games. So, could companies justify charging £100 for a game? I think that's not far away. I really don't think that's far away. But it's kind of bizarre because the industry has gone in such a way. I mean, we've got amazing games that must take thousands and thousands of man hours to make. Then on the flip side, you've got the apps, which people don't want to pay money for. I mean, I was complaining about that last week, saying how basically the industry has shot itself in the foot. It's them to blame. They're the guys that started putting out games for free, in-app purchases, all that kind of crap. So it's their own fault. But yeah, are EA just charging that kind of money? I don't think it's for me to say. I wouldn't pay the money. But when you look upon what you're getting, how many man hours it's taken them, how many people they've employed to get a game out to market, it must be absolutely huge. And there's so much more pressure on these companies now to increase budgets, to get more people, get better artists, sound, you name it. You know, I think the industry is going to continue to go down that road. We're going to continually see these in-app purchases, buying currency, you know, stuff like that. I says it's not the industry that I want to be part of, but I think it's the way it's going to go. So anyway, Kev, sorry, that was part one. Secondly, were wrestling games ever popular in the UK like they are in the US? There's a kind of standing joke, Kev. If you go into any CEX store in the UK, you'll get either a FIFA game or a wrestling game for like 5 pence. Wrestling games were like football games. Every year they bring out a revamp. You know, you get whatever it is. I was never into wrestling. WWF 2016, then 17, whatever. So the retail value of wrestling games is tiny. So if you get a game that's a year old, you can't do anything with it. I think wrestling was pretty popular, or mega popular actually, in the UK quite a few years ago. I don't know if it's got quite the same appeal now. Maybe it's just because I'm not aware of it, because I'm getting older. But yeah, wrestling was a big thing. I mean, it used to be wrestling in the UK. It was very, very basic. We used to get wrestling on a Saturday morning back in the 70s, and you know, it was very, very low budget. It was basically overweight guys wearing vests, sort of pretending to fight. Then when the WWF came along, we had Hulk Hogan's and The Undertaker and guys like that. that's when it started to, it became a thing. It became quite a big spectacle. I mean, there's still wrestling on TV, but to answer your question, I think wrestling games are popular with a certain audience. I think probably very young boys is probably about the target audience. I've never touched a wrestling game for years. I think the last one I ever played was probably Rock and Wrestle on the Commodore 64, and it was rubbish. So yeah. And Kev's last question. Finally, Al, have you ever tried any scary games in the PlayStation VR? I'm too chicken. I certainly have, Kev. I've played a couple. What was I playing? Oh, I'm terrible for not knowing the name of it. What's it called? What's that one? Rush of Blood. Did I mention that last week? I think I did. I did mention it last week actually. Yeah, you're in a sort of roller coaster. It's you do interact. You can shoot things. I mean, that's what you do. You shoot, but you can't walk about as such. But it's pretty damn scary. I mean, the graphics in these things is so intense. So yeah, it is pretty much seat of your pants. There's one game which I've got, and I played it for probably about 30 seconds, and I think I probably won't return to it, and that is Resident Evil 7. It's too scary. It's too, I mean, even playing it out with the sort of non-PSVR mode, it is scary enough. But to play it when you're actually inside the game, nah. It's like films. I'm too chicken to watch films. I would love to watch a horror film, but I don't. I'm too frightened for a grown man. So yeah, but Rush of Blood is good fun. I can get away with that one because you're constantly moving. It's more jump scares, whereas in Resident Evil 7, you've actually got things chasing you, and you've got to run away. In Rush of Blood, you know that the things are going to disappear. When you're playing Resident Evil 7, you're the one that's controlling the movement. So nah, not for me, I'm afraid, Kev. Anyway, listen, Kev, thanks for the questions, mate. Panther UK, how many Commodore 64s have you owned? I've still got 2, but thanks to buying games at car boot sales, I had 11 at one point. So if you include my original one from the 80s, I've had 12. A few people I know have done this to collect games from sellers unwilling to split what they're selling. Have you had this for any systems as well? Commodore 64s, I think I've got a bread bin which I use down there, and I believe, you know what, I don't actually know, I think I've got at least one C64 Commodore 64C, and you know what, I might have another bread bin. I'm not too sure actually. That's pretty bad. I don't actually know what I've got. It's because I've got so much stuff up in the loft. I've never had, I mean, that's so probably, I did have a second C64C, so I think at the very most I've had 4, and that's just because they were going quite cheap. Now, there was somebody that was commenting on my videos a few weeks ago, and did he not have something like 20? I think he was looking to sell them on whatever, but I've never acquired another console or a computer because I was buying the game. I've always bought it because I wanted the console. I'm starting to kind of think that that's not the way to go. Excuse me. Because at the end of the day, Commodore 64s are still plentiful. So if my Commodore 64 breaks, I'll go and buy a new one. I mean, I've got a second Vectrex which I bought, which I'm going to hang on to because, well, they're kind of going up in price anyway. But if that one was to ever fall over, rather than shell out 200 quid to get another one, I know if my Vectrex stopped working, I would definitely want to go and buy a new one. And I've got quite a few games up there, so I'd want to have another one, so I'm quite happy to have a spare. But yeah, I'm kind of edging away from having backup machines because they're still common. In fact, I've actually got, if you're interested in any Sega Master System games, I've got 30 online at the moment on eBay, and I've also got a Master System with 7 games for 50 quid. If anyone's interested, drop me a line. Interestingly, there's one game, I can't even remember the name of it, I put it up and it was up to 40 quid, but unfortunately I had to cancel auction because the guy he didn't have any. He lived on the other side of the world, and he didn't have any feedback. So I thought, nah, I'm cancelling it. But yeah, this one game, I mean, it's at 18 quid at the moment, and I had a quick look, and it seems to go for about 60 to 80 quid. So obviously a rare game, but not one that I was ever interested in. But yeah, thanks for the question, Chris. Craig Wilson, console and PC gaming is becoming more like iPhone smartphone gaming. The difference is the games on phones are usually very cheap or free, so money is made from microtransactions, whereas when you spend £40 to £50 on a game, that should be it. I'm really annoyed with EA at the moment, as I think they want to change gaming for the worst, with online only games, loot crates, etc. Recently EA cancelled and shut down Visceral, the developers who were making a single player Star Wars game, as he wanted something else that could include microtransactions and loot boxes in. This put the final nail in the coffin with the EA for myself and a lot of others. Let me know what you think about this in next week's Waffle. I've already touched on it, Craig. I think I spoke about it last week as well. Yeah, it's going down a road that I'm not interested in taking part in. I'm old school. I prefer to buy a game and play it. It's my game to play, you know. I don't want to have to fork out other money. I mean, my daughter's heavily into loot crate. She's right into Overwatch, and you know, she gets pocket money, and I would hate to think how much money she's spent on these loot boxes. In fact, I read an article on the internet a couple of weeks ago. They were actually trying to get the law changed so that loot crates were actually termed as gambling, because you don't know what you're going to get. When you buy a loot crate, you have no idea what you're going to get in it. It's a bit of a gamble, but apparently it didn't go through because the companies that made these loot crate, or whatever it's called, you know, that you can buy for games, they said that gambling, you're taking a risk of either winning something or getting nothing. And their argument is these loot crate boxes, you're always going to get something. You're always getting something that's worth the money you're spending. What you get, you don't know. So that didn't go through. But no, I'm totally with you, Craig. I think I don't like the way it's going, you know, with microtransactions. And if you want to get an extra level, you've got to pay more money. I mean, I know, is it Battlefront 2, the big furore is because to play as it Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, you had to play it for something like, was it 40 hours or something, or else you could spend money and unlock the characters. Yeah, I don't like the way it's going, but I think it's something we're just going to have to put up with. It's the way the industry's going. So yeah, I will be sticking to my Commodore 64 games. Thanks much for that. Let's have another wee drink of my tea while I digest the next bundle. Right, next one is Matroid. He's asking, Alan, I was sad to hear of Malcolm Young passing. Happens to us all, I suppose, but knowing you're quite a big AC/DC fan, I was wondering if you had any thoughts you'd like to share on this most classic of rock bands. Any favourite albums? Did you ever see them in concert? I was quite late to the AC/DC party. I mean, when I was growing up as a kid at school, I was more into sort of like Howard Jones, Depeche Mode, Christy Burr, believe it or not, stuff like that. And I had a mate who was into AC/DC, and I had quite a few friends who were into kind of heavy metal, and AC/DC and AC/DC, and I just didn't like it. I thought it's just a noise, you know. It's like what your mum would say about your pop music. I just didn't like it. I didn't have any interest in heavy metal music or AC/DC. It was only when I got to about, I don't know, 18, 19, I started going to this rock disco, and they played just heavy metal rock music, and I started to get a taste for heavy metal, and it's never left me. I mean, it's my favourite genre of music, and I can't even pronounce them. AC/DC, I would say, are probably my favourite band. Yeah, it's I don't know. I love the sound. I've seen them twice in concert. I saw them in, was it the Black Ice Tour 2009, and then I saw them was it 2 years ago, I think it was, got to say they sounded amazing. Sounded absolutely amazing. I was never a Bon Scott fan. I was always a Brian Johnson. Now, a little anecdote. I don't know if you follow me on Facebook, but one of my mates, his dad owns a lot of classic cars, and he was across in Daytona racetrack about 2 weeks ago, and he was across seeing his dad, and his dad was racing his cars, and one of his dad's best mates is Brian Johnson. My mate actually got to drive some of Brian Johnson's cars round Daytona. He put a picture of him, his dad, Brian Johnston, and his brother up on Facebook a couple of weeks ago. Absolutely awesome. He said that Brian Johnson was such a nice guy, and he always comes across as that. I always felt slightly sorry for him, the way he was treated. I mean, I think it's obvious that Angus Young pulls the strings as far as AC/DC goes, and the fact that Brian Johnson, his hearing was going, they obviously wanted to continue. I mean, what Brian Johnson says was that he wouldn't be able to play live anymore, and they didn't take very long in getting a replacement for him. So yeah, I was slightly disappointed to hear how that worked out. But my top 3 AC/DC tracks would be, I think my favourite has to be Touch Too Much, especially the start, the sort of bass at the very, very start. Probably Highway to Hell, and you know what, to try and pick your top 3, Runaway Train as well from Black Ice is another awesome track. But yeah, absolutely fantastic band, and I think, you know, I was sorry to hear about Malcolm Young died of, was it Alzheimer's, I think it was. I mean, it's a tragic disease that, you know, it can take anybody. So very, very sorry to hear that. But anyway, listen mate, thanks very much for the question again. And next up, I've got a new person, which is excellent. Record then return. Thank you very much for the question. What was your first experience of going online? I first went online at university, where we had direct access to email, news groups and FTP sites. Then the World Wide Web. It was only later that I experienced dial-up internet access to these things. The very, very first time I was online, technically you could say it would be 1995, 1996, because we had email. But, you know, it was just email. I couldn't do anything else. That was at work. The first time I got to go online again was at work. And that was the point where I became aware of what the internet was. I remember talking to one of the guys I worked with, and he had the internet, and he was trying to explain to me how it worked, and he says, yeah, you need to use a search engine, you need to use Yahoo. And I couldn't get my head around what this was. What do you mean you need to use Yahoo? Why? You know. And eventually we could go online at work. You're supposed to only go online at lunchtimes, but I had my own office, so it was basically I could go in any time I wanted. And I found it was Dave's Classics. I became aware of these old systems, and then I became aware of MAME. And yeah, I used to go to Dave's Arcade Classics or Video Game Classics. I can't remember what it was called. I think it was Video Games Classics. And I used to go in every day and download ROMs. I used to buy myself discs through petty cash, and I would put the ROMs onto the discs. I would take the discs home. I would copy the ROMs off onto my own computer. Then I'd bring the blank discs back the following day and continue. But the first time I didn't get the internet, I didn't get the actual, I didn't get the internet until 1997, and it was dial-up. And again, it was just Dave's Arcade Classics, and then I eventually I did a search for Jeff Minter, and I eventually found Yak Yak, which is a sort of Lamasoft forum. And that was it. That's when I started. So really, I've been online since 1997. The reason I'm called MameMeister is because when I first went online, I went to a forum, and of course it asks you to register. So I put in, name Alan, and it came up that name's been taken. So I thought, what can I call myself? And that was the point where I was writing to MAME. MAME was the big thing for me, and it still is. It's still a great thing. So I thought I'll call myself MAME, and I think it came up that username's used. And that was the point where Doom was my mate was a massive Doom fan, and if you killed somebody, it was called a frag, and people used to call him the Fragmeister. So I thought to myself, Meister, Maim, Meister. So I stuck that on, and lo and behold, nobody else had that username. So that's why I'm called Maim Meister. So yeah, there you go. So anyway, listen, thank you very much for the question. Great to have new fresh blood in the channel. And back to regular again, Mr. Ian Hunter. As a slight diversion to retro gaming, can I ask a Friday Waffle question here about music? As I believe you have dumped the guitar lessons mistake 58 years after realising I was never going to make Top of the Pops, who are your three favourite bands? For me in order are Status Quo, The Moody Blues and Pink Floyd. Sorry about the diversion here, Alan, but I thought it would give some nostalgic thoughts. All the best. Well, thanks for the question, Ian. Yeah, that was a little dig there, but you know what? I wouldn't say I'm ashamed. I'm disappointed that I've given up the guitar as quickly. I haven't given it up, and I mean that. Yeah, I'm not playing it at the moment, but I've not given it up. I mean, I did kind of contemplate, well, what's the point of having an electric guitar plus an acoustic guitar? Why don't I sell them? I do definitely intend to get back into it. It just goes back to the lack of time, lack of time for doing all these things. To be fair, the not going to guitar lessons wasn't my fault. My wife started a new job about 3-4 months ago, and it basically makes it difficult for me to get to the guitar lessons. I went for, was it 16 weeks I think it was, really enjoyed it, and then they broke up for the summer. Excuse me, I should never have my dinner before I make a video. What was I talking about? Yeah, I was going for 16 weeks, then it broke up for the summer holidays, then I was supposed to go back in, was it August I think it was, and at that point my wife had just started a new job in Edinburgh, and she wasn't getting in until after 7 o'clock, which meant I wasn't able to go. But saying that, I should have still been practicing, but it just comes down to what I was talking about before, Ian. It's finding the time. My work at the moment, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't sit here to 10 o'clock at night working, I don't do that, but mentally I'm knackered. It's because it is so intense at work that, and you're probably saying, well, playing the guitar's quite relaxing, but I've got other things I want to do. I mean, I've got dogs I need to take out for walks, I've got my video games to play, I've got my YouTube channel. Trying to fit everything in is so difficult. I mean, I should really have a couple of less hobbies, I think. It would certainly make things a wee bit easier. So yeah, I've not dumped the guitar, Ian. I do fully intend to get back to it again. I mean, my mate Andy, he plays in a rock band. I'm tempted to say to him, look, can you teach me? And I think, take it from there. But 3 favourite bands, well, I've already told you, I think my favourite band would have to be AC/DC, for the reasons that I've already spoke about. Other bands, blimey, I mean, I like so much. Does it have to be bands, or can it be solo artists? Other bands, well, I'm going to go for Marillion. I'm a massive Marillion fan. Loved Marillion from the sort of early 80s. I saw Fish in concert 2 years ago, and I'm actually going to see him next month again. Love Marillion. Really, really enjoy it. I must admit, I don't really listen to Fish's new stuff, but I think the concert I'm going to next week, or next month I should say, is going to contain a lot of his kind of solo stuff. So Marillion would be a second one. Third group, oh man, let me think. I mean, what did I listen to? Oh, it's difficult. I mean, when I was growing up, I was into Depeche Mode, I was into Howard Jones, I was into, who else? Christy Burr. You know what, I'm going to go for Christy Burr. He was, the funny thing was, the guy that introduced me to Christy Burr was the guy that was into AC/DC. I don't know if there's some kind of yin-yang thing going on with AC/DC and Christy Burr, but he first introduced me to Spanish Train. I remember listening to it, and I just thought, what a lot of crap, that is garbage. Then I borrowed the album off him, and it just grew in me. It started to grow in me, and I've seen Christy Burr in concert twice. I've got all his albums. He's an amazing songwriter. He's got an amazing voice, amazing songwriter. I always feel that he comes in for a lot of criticism because people, when you talk to Christy Burr, people think Lady in Red, what a lot of shite. And yeah, I'm not a fan of Lady in Red. It was the biggest probably commercial song that he's ever produced, but he's so much better than Lady in Red, you know, he really is. I mean, the proof in the pudding was I saw him in concert I was going to say 2 years ago, it's probably about 5-6 years old, 6 years ago, and it was Christy Burr and a guitar. There was no support band, there was nobody else, there was him, an amplifier and a guitar, and he kept us entertained for about 2.5 hours. He did something like 4 encores, absolutely amazing. Now, I would defy any other modern group or solo artist. You imagine somebody from One Direction or Ollie Murs being able to do that? I don't think so. So yeah, I know he's not a group, but he does have people that plays with him. I'm going to go for Christy Burr. So AC/DC, Marillion and Christy Burr. Tons of others. I love Metallica as well. Loads of other good groups. Yeah, anyway, Ian, listen, thank you very much for the question, mate. And to finish off, I've actually got 2 more to go here. I've got a mighty one from one of my friends, Lactobacillusprime, Mark. Now, Mark has got an amazing YouTube channel, really good. I love watching Mark's videos. He's been going for quite a long time. I'll put a link to Mark's channel below actually. Your waffles are greatly appreciated by me and many others. I reckon it's more about quality than quantity. So to keep the mojo and not burn out, getting used to new routines with family members and having new schedules takes time. Well, thanks very much, Mark. I mean, coming for yourself, mate, that's quite a compliment because you've got a great channel yourself. So, yep, Mark's asking 5 questions. Number 1, looking back on the switch from iOS to Android, would you consider going back or would you never go back to an iPhone? You know what, Mark, I've been doing that for years. I'll get an iPhone, then I'll go back to Android, then I'll get an iPhone, then go back to Android, because I always think if I just stick with the same, it's not like you're getting a new phone. If you have an Android and you get another Android, it doesn't feel like a new phone at all. So with saying that, would I go back to an iPhone? I loved iPhone, I really did. I wouldn't pay £1,000 for one. The thing is, the phone that I'm recording this video on, it's what, 3 years old, 2 or 3 years old. You can probably get it for a couple £100 now. It's a great phone and I have got absolutely no intention of changing it unless it doesn't work. I mean, the only reason I actually moved from the iPhone to the Android was because of the Gear VR, which incidentally I'm selling. I'm selling the Gear VR plus the controller for £50 if anyone's interested. So yeah, I don't know, Mark. I'm going to stick with Android at the moment. When it falls over, I may go back to an iPhone. I won't be getting a brand new one. I certainly won't be paying £1,000. But yeah, both are great. I mean, I always think you can't get a bad phone nowadays. You know, even a £200-300 phone is going to be pretty good. Chocolate or vanilla? Chocolate or vanilla? No, it's got to be chocolate. Definitely. Happy you've got a GPD XD again? Definitely. You know why I wasn't going to get one, Mark? Because I basically spent a shed load of money on it and it didn't even last. Well, it actually lasted a year. It was literally just over a year and it stopped working, and their customer support is absolutely non-existent, which I was quite angry about, and that's the reason I was never going to buy another one. But I always maintained that I liked the actual unit and I would buy one second hand, so I wasn't giving GPD any money, and one of my mates sold it to me for £100. So delighted to have it back again. Yeah. Isn't it so? Sorry, what's that? Isn't it so that you get to appreciate your personal gaming time more when it's scarce than when you have bucket loads of it? Definitely, Mark. I mean, I think one of the truest facts about getting older is you seem to have less time, which is straight. I don't mean that literally. I know you're running out of time until you kick the bucket. But you do seem to have less time to actually do stuff, I think, because you've just got so many more responsibilities. So yeah, when I do get half an hour here or there to play games, I definitely enjoy it, you know. Number 5, are you any good at remembering the controls of a particular game when you experience a gap of several days or perhaps a couple of weeks between goes, or do you need to start the tutorials again in order to get back into it? I'm glad it's not just me. I'm absolutely like that. Because I tend to play a game for a wee while, when I stop and I start playing a different game, I've got to relearn the controls. I don't usually go and start doing a tutorial again, but I've always got to try and remember, and I think that's why it's probably better to stick to one game until you complete it or you're finished with it and then move on, because to get far in games you've got to be, what you can't afford to do is go, what, where's my jump button, what shit, and then you press the wrong button. You've got to be familiar with the controls. But yeah, I don't know if that's an age thing for me, but you know, I play a game and then when I go back to it months later, I can't remember what they were, so I'm glad it's not just me. Number 6, consider going to Blackpool for replay this winter. When is it? When is replay? Is it in January? Unlikely, Mark. I do enjoy Blackpool. I quite enjoy going down in the summertime. It depends. The thing with Blackpool, it's close enough that I could drive down and drive back the same day. The reason I like to go to Blackpool is to meet you guys, is to meet fellow YouTubers, people that maybe watch the channel, whatever. It's nice to tie up with you guys. When is it? It depends when it is. I mean, we're kind of getting into usually in the UK, December, January, February is about the worst weather, so it need to depend on the weather and when it is. But it's the kind of thing that I could decide the day before or maybe a couple of days before, so I shall see. Are you going there, Mark? Let me know if you are, mate. Yeah. Number 7. Okay. How's the guitar playing going? Yeah. Are we going to hear you play sometime? Not at the moment. You've already heard my thoughts on that. I'm not giving it up. Maybe once I start playing again, get a bit better. You never know. Number 8, so you see yourself playing games in 20 years time, or do you see yourself falling out with games in the future? I think I may fall out with future games, but I certainly won't be falling out with games that I play now, because I've been playing games now for 50, 18, 32 years. I'm still as passionate about games. I mean, I'm sitting talking about old games, you know what I mean? I still enjoy games. As long as I can see and I can still hold a joystick, I will continue to play them. I don't see that ever changing. I can't see myself deciding one day that I don't want to play video games anymore. I enjoy them far too much. Number 9, this is a great question. What is it that keeps you interested in video games? What is it about video games that I enjoy? I think part of it for me is I still get excited the fact that I am controlling something on a TV screen. Now that probably sounds stupid, but if I kind of turn the clock back to when I was like 16 years old, getting to witness the ability to interact with a TV screen was special. Previously a TV viewing, it was a passive hobby. You could only look at it, you couldn't interact with it. Then when I got like the Pong and then I got a Commodore 64, it was just amazing being able to play and actually interact with it. I don't watch the TV very much. I would much rather sit and play a video game. I like the fact that I'm interacting with it. But I think the biggest thing for me is I still get excited playing video games. I love the thrill, I love the challenge of it. Graphics, excuse me. I still get excited about video games as I did when I was 16, 17 years old. And as I say, it's the ability to interact, the challenge. I don't know, just when I play games now, I'm still 17 years old, so yeah, that's never ever changed. And finally, fancy a hangout CoOp Waffle sometime? Absolutely, Mark. I know I've been talking about it. It is slightly more difficult for me to do recording the TV because my wife doesn't work shifts so much now, so I don't have as much time. I used to be able to get the occasional weekend where I could sort of monopolise the computer, but I can do a sort of a voice waffle anytime really, Mark, so just give me a shout, mate. I would absolutely love to tie up with you again. We've done a couple of these in the past, so let me know when you can do it and we'll definitely get it on. So anyway, listen Mark, thank you very much for asking some great questions here, that is much appreciated. And finally, Mr. Country Roadist, I do apologise Squire, I completely missed your question out last week, I don't know how I managed that. If you could own any original arcade cab with original boards and hardware, what would it be? Robotron 2084. I don't know if you can see the banner up there. It would be my favourite arcade game. Either that or Berserk possibly. I mean, I've always loved Robotron, but Berserk, I love Berserk. I think I would probably still go for Robotron though. It's just an iconic game. It's probably the purest video game that's ever been written. You know, it's just you against the machine. It's an amazing game. So yeah, I'm going to go for a Williams Robotron 2084. So anyway, listen, that is it guys. I don't know how long this has been going on for, probably slightly too long. Hopefully you've had your extra 30%, 50% extra Black Friday waffle goodness. Thank you very much for a good turnout of questions. That's what I need to keep them going guys, because like I said, without the questions there will be no waffle. My subs seem to be going up again, which is great. I was hoping maybe a few months ago I might hit 2,000 subscribers before Christmas. I don't think that's likely. I'm on something like 1,660, something like that, so I'm not going to get to 2,000, but the fact that it's still going up is great. Thanks very much to all the guys that have stuck with me over these last sort of 3 years. It's wicked. I enjoy the camaraderie, the interaction, you know, really good fun. Thanks to any new subscribers that's joined me. Like I said, I hope you enjoy watching these videos and you stick with the channel. Please continue to give me questions for the Friday Waffle, and you know, it can be about anything at all, any videos that you want to see me make. Please just put the comments below. And finally guys, thank you very much for watching.